Hello and welcome to the Hero Spouse. I'm Kendra Ruth here to answer one of your questions about marriage and midlife crisis. Today we have an anonymous female left behind and forward-moving spouse with a bomb drop of June 30th, 2024, a date of marriage of 2000. She says he is a vanisher and a low-energy wallower. This is a follow-up from last week's Facebook Live. She says, following up since you discussed my situation last Thursday, my husband has been very distant for over a year and a half. I've only had a handful of text messages since bomb drop, and those were to say, hey, the lawyer needs to know an answer. You want to drop an agreement? I know it's that the alienator is responding for him and pushing him to divorce me. I poured my heart out in the last text message and got a very cold response. Okay, good chance it's the alienator. We talked about that before. However, you could get a cold response either way, just saying on that one. He doesn't come around at all to see our kids nor our grandchildren. I've only had 3 or 4 text messages since bomb drop, which was June 30th. It is now mid-October, so that is all of July, all of September, all of July, all of August, and all of September plus half. So that is 3.5 months. Okay. I've given him several chances to say, hey, do your thing. Let's just do an agreement or stay separate and have time to figure it out. It's not how MLCers work. You can give them a chance to do anything. They're just not interested. They are too interested in getting away or in being with limerent, object, that sort of thing. Or he's very controlled. If you think she's answering for him, there's a lot of control going on there. Or to say, no, he wants a divorce. I want to save our marriage, but he seems adamant. They're supposed to seem adamant in the beginning. And we went over that, I know. And sometime in the beginning will seem adamant 1 week and 1 week not. Mine was like that. It didn't seem adamant, but then it did seem really adamant. What I noticed initially was that it was what he was adamant about, that he was going to go to the lawyers or that he was going to give them money, and that I knew he was going to file. Rather than adamant, I'd say I could just tell he was going to file. But he was very adamant that way. But I could also tell from him that he wasn't certain, and there was a lot of uncertainty. But he changed his mind and had different personalities every few hours. And so each one of them is different. Mine was what I would call a rapid cycler. Some of them aren't rapid cyclers. In other words, if they're cycling, it could be weeks or even months rather than hours, literal hours from different personalities. Last time I saw him was July. That was not the man I married. I know. And you describe it, very good description. He looks beaten. I think that's guilt. Yeah, that's MLC. That is, yeah. Some of them are able to hide that, and then we think, oh, they're so happy. No, they're just hiding it. But what you see is actually very common, and they're trying to convince themselves that they're happy. I hired an attorney. That is a good thing. Good for you. Because I was tired of the back and forth with him, saying he wanted a divorce and then nothing. Well, now, I will tell you one thing. And I know maybe it seems like forever, but 3.5 months, there hasn't been much back and forth given the small timeline. And I'm saying that not to minimize your experience, but just relative to others. Okay. It's a marathon, and we have some that have had 4 years of that. Then it's, did I push him too soon? And that's why he filed. Well, first thing, I can't give you a definitive answer, but I want to say no. And the reason I want to say no is you think that this is a controlling alienator who's answering for him. And so it's always just a guess, okay? But my guess is going to be that he may have filed for the same reasons Chuck filed. Chuck filed because she told him, I won't sleep with you unless you're divorced. Or if you're getting a divorce. She kept changing the goalpost there. And so he filed. And then she slept with him anyway. But that was what he was afraid of. So it doesn't mean that she's saying that, but it means like there's an alienator telling him, you need to file for divorce. You need to get a divorce. Somebody who is telling him what he has to do and divorces it, and coercing him, and limerent object, and if you approve, you'll love me, and that sort of thing. So it's not because you pushed him. You might have added pressure. I don't know. You haven't had a lot of communication. You did pour your heart out. We all do. I want you to be very careful, especially since you think that it's her reading your heart. And even if he was the one responding, she's probably saying they're reading it too. Okay, So be careful, because that's what he's reading from you when you pour your heart out. May not be private. So be careful. And it's, that's not actually why I want you to be careful. That's just an additional reason. I don't think all the alienators are reading all of our texts, that sort of thing. But in your case, since you think she's responding, literally she has to read it to respond to it. But I don't want you, the bigger reason I really want you to be careful with that is it's pressure to him. Okay? And not only that, but you show that and he can use that against you. They'll use, unfortunately, we are not safe being vulnerable with them right now because they will use our vulnerability against us. So I want you to be very careful. But I don't think he filed. I could be wrong because of that. That may have added another little tiny straw to the camel's back type of thing. But I think the bigger piece is he has a limerent affair. He's in a limerent affair. She's likely to tear down. She's applying emotional blackmail. If it's as you're saying, and what you said before when you researched her, she's not new to this sort of thing, then she is controlling the situation. He is a hand puppet, and you know where her hand's at. It's her hand up his, yeah. So that's why I say he's not adamant about anything. I mean, if somebody's hand's up yours, you're like, oh my God, yeah, yes, ma'am. So he's going to be either adamant for as long as he can while she has control. He's going to start getting away from her, but she'll get control back, and there's going to be a trauma bond possibly. Because you might see, if you eventually see mixed messages, it's going to get more confusing again, maybe. Because you'll see something like a positive sign, and you're like, oh, maybe he's not that adamant. And you start to have, you get this hope. And then you feel like, if you're not ready for it and well versed in this, is what I mean, the hope is dashed, because then they go back to it. And then you start to think, well, they really are a horrible person, or it really is over. That's the cycle of how an affair ends. It's a cycle of trauma bonding, all of these things. It's the mixed messages. He is not able to yet not let go, but wrench himself away. She has her claws in, and they are barbed. It hurts to let go. It's scary, because when he tries to push her away or all that, she makes threats, extortions. I'll tell who you really are. You can't do this to me. I thought you were a good person. And remember, this person's having an identity crisis, and they really want to be a good person. So they're going to target their vulnerabilities. I thought you were a good person. I left everybody and everything for you. I gave up my job. I lost my job because of you, because in my situation, she got fired from the job they both were at. Good for her. I gave it all up, and it's your fault. So that is emotional blackmail. It's making him responsible for her happiness, her job, her welfare, all of those things. And that is going to cause more turmoil. That's partially why he seems to get worse and worse and worse and more unstable, because he's in a toxic, drama-ridden relationship. And yet he stays. And he stays. Because look at what happened when he tried to leave. Claws. Okay? So, what do? Well, you have a few options. You could give up. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Because when I say give up, it's you take your own power back and you say, no way, this is not what I've signed up for. This is not what I want. And you're not the person I want anymore. The person I want, yeah, isn't going to make this mistake. Goodbye, good riddance. You can do that. And there's nothing wrong with it. Go ahead. Okay? Or you can say, I am going to stand for my marriage, but no matter what choice you make, if you make a choice to stand, even during a grace period, which you should still be in a grace period because you are still raw. So even if you don't really want to stand for your marriage and reconciliation, the grace period right now is, I'm going to put on hold the decision until I really am in a better place, psychologically, more emotionally stable, I'm more healed, to really say, here's the decision I am making. Here's what I'm going to do with it. And maybe your decision is going to be divorce, but maybe here's how you're going to do it then also. You're better able to apply it. So the grace period, and the grace period can be long. I want you to get healed. Okay. And that also is a grace period of no dating, although it's all your choices. Everything in this is your choice. There's no judgment with it. But we want you healed, right? Or you can, and after that grace period, maybe you choose to, I am a stander. Then I want you to be a stander who understands midlife crisis so that when he sends you a mixed message and he cycles and he comes back, and you maybe you don't let him move in, but then he goes away again. Things are going really well for 3 months. And you are so ecstatic. Be careful of being too ecstatic. We all see that on the boards and we're worried about you if you're too ecstatic. We're wary of telling you because we know what happens then, but we feel like we're watching a train wreck and it's about to happen. We're like, uh-oh. Okay, keep your eye on that one because it might crash and burn soon and she doesn't know it or she's in denial of it. So recognize that when they come home or when they start to not even home, but have a touch and go, it may be, it's not a return because that would be a premature return. They're not out of crisis. Cycle back again, maybe to the same alienator. No matter how bad that alienator was, they cycle back to that alienator. I'm not going to guarantee you. They might find another one. Maybe that alienator gives up on them and they go back in to find someone else. Or they just go back in to be depressed. Whatever it is. I also don't know why you think that he's low energy. I'm not saying he is or isn't. I just haven't seen why. Just given what you've said, I haven't seen high energy behaviors, but I have seen the standard stereotypes that go along with them. You haven't described the behaviors. I've just seen the trappings that go with it. And so I don't know why you're thinking low energy. And if you don't have much contact, you might not know. Okay. But do remember that all MLC is depression. And you can have high energy on that. That's when you don't realize that's not depression. That's anger. It's masked depression, covert. Okay. Let's see, make sure I'm getting everything I wanted to say. There's always something more to say. So, I want you to understand that the things you're describing to me are normal for MLC, not regular people. So you're describing he looks beaten down. Yes. I think that's guilt, you said. Yes. I was rejoicing when I saw the guilt because I'm like, well, at least he's got a conscience. I mean, I realized that, she and the other little, Jiminy Cricket's over here, but, the devil on the other shoulder stamping out the angel on one shoulder. I get that. But at least the angel or the Jiminy Cricket is on one shoulder being a conscience. Even though there's all these other noises trying to drown out the guilt. But it's there. And MLC gets worse before it gets better. Those noises that are drowning it out might get louder. Okay. You hired an attorney. That's good. I did too. I had somebody who actually filed. Oh, you did file too. So you need to file it. You need to have an attorney if you filed anyway. You need to protect yourself. Do everything. If there's a divorce in process, you have to follow it. You have to. Okay. And you have to do everything you can to protect yourself. It is not personal against him. Okay. You do what you can to protect yourself and to get what is, I hate the term sometimes, but fair. I mean, most places are 50-50 in community property, or at least in the States. So, and if you raise the kids and that sort of thing, and you get what's fair and equitable. And equitable doesn't always have to mean equal. Okay? So do it. And right now, sometimes in the beginning right now, they are more likely to sign away more. You might get a better deal. I'm not saying that to take advantage of him, but you know what? He's the one doing it. He's the one betraying you. He's the one putting you through it. He's the one causing the destruction. And in my view, there are consequences for that. And if the consequences are you get more and he gets less, it's not because you took advantage of him. It's because he did something against you. And say, maybe you're getting compensated. Then I don't say that in like, yeah, you deserve it. I'm saying it because there are consequences. Okay. Okay. So let me know if you have any more questions. There'll be more. There's always more. And get involved in the forum or on the Facebook page. Okay. Because whether you don't stand or whether you do, This is going to be a long road just for you and for your recovery. And I want you to have some help and some support in this, okay? Because you're going to be fine. You're going to make it. Your kids are going to make it. And so I'm sorry for your grandkids, but they're not seeing the two of you together, okay? But I want you to have some help, and I want you to work on your detachment. And you're going to come through this, okay? We've got you. So I hope this is helpful, and I'll see everybody in the next question.